Hello, I'm Timeless. This is Kabbalistic News. Abortion is in the news a lot these days. Supreme Court rulings, states changing their laws. So I think it's important to add some Kabbalistic knowledge to the debate because the question of abortion, is when does life begin? And generally we consider life begins when we're born. That's how we count our days. The birthday is the beginning of another year. We don't start at zero. We started 1 day, 2 days. But what about the time before you're born? When you're living, we know that the head, the heart, the whole body doesn't just suddenly come out of nowhere. And the question is, when does life begin? Does it begin when the sperm and the egg intertwine? Conception begins? Is that the beginning of life? Well, first of all, just in the ancient Jewish tradition that was written down 2,000 years ago, the first thing they wrote down was when life begins. And according to the Torah, the soul comes into that what has been built over 40 days, which is the placenta, and stamps upon it the seal of the soul. The soul is carved out of a star and connects to a person through that line of light, comes into the right side of the brain. And that doesn't happen until 41 days. Before 41 days, this is not life. And the Mishna, the first writings of the oral law, were made it very clear that that what is there is not life, and someone who would to terminate that, that's not an abortion. Now, this is corroborated by also the Qaran, which came 2,000 years after the Torah. And though they don't say in the Quran 41 days, but they describe it as a time, at that moment, that's when the soul comes in. So they're approximate, and it looks approximate. They say like it looks like a piece of liver, I think, that's been bit into, something like that. There's certain sort of signs but the main thing is it's approximately that time. And that they also agree that there is a time when there is not a soul, and that if a woman were to terminate a pregnancy, that would not be an abortion. And it's unfortunate that this knowledge is not open to people, because even, most women, if they're looking, a woman can know within 40 days whether she's pregnant or not. If she's going to wait for some sign, that's a different story. But if a woman knows, gee, if I get pregnant, I don't want to be pregnant, well, God gave me 40 days to decide. And that's free choice. And also, according to Torah law, that the sperm belongs to the woman. The man gives it to the woman. It's hers. He has no say into what she does. If she wants to or she doesn't want to, that's completely her choice. And this is also corroborated by doctors. That medicine also finds in the 41st day, there's this huge change that happens, and as a result, medical terminology changes. What was in the beginning from conception until 40 days called a zygote suddenly becomes an embryo. And the only reason, because here you have two spiritual traditions, both having books of prophecy, and the scientific community all agreeing. And yet we're fighting about abortion. And why is it? Because this is again, this is Rome. Whether it's in the state or the church, this is Rome, and they've decided on a standard which only makes conflict. Because that's what Rome does. Rome lives by the sword, and they love conflict. And there's a saying in Torah that Chachma Mazaka, that wisdom will make everything clear. And so, instead of making it a battle against the church and the state or the church and the people or whatever, that just by applying a little bit of light can push away a lot of darkness. This has been Kabbalistic News.